In this week's Torah portion, chapter 32 in Genesis, if you're keeping score, after many decades away, Yaakov, Jacob, is finally returning home. He's wary because when he left, his twin brother Esav was plotting to kill him. So he sends messengers ahead to gauge Esav's mood. The messengers return with bad news. They tell Yaakov that Esav's waiting for him with 400 warriors. So Yaakov takes certain precautions. He divides his sizable family and his possessions into two camps, so that if Esav and his men attack one, the other can escape. He prays, of course, to God. And he sends a huge gift to Esav in an attempt to appease or placate him. Just before he meets Esav, Yaakov and his family ford a river. They get to the other side, and Yaakov realizes that he's left some possessions behind. Insignificant possessions, but they're still meaningful to him, because Yaakov earned them, like all of his possessions, through honest, hard work. So he goes back to get them. He goes back alone. He goes back at night, and he gets attacked. Not by a man, but by an angel. And not by just any angel, by Esav's angel. And so throughout that long night, the mortal Yaakov and the heavenly angel are wrestling until dawn. And the angel's trying to throw Yaakov to the ground, but he can't. But it does succeed in dislocating Yaakov's hip joint. But in the end, it's Yaakov who's the victor. At daybreak, he's holding on to the angel who's begging to be released, and Yaakov only releases the angel after procuring a blessing. And Yaakov, the victor, limps away. And because of this episode and because of this injury, Yaakov's descendants, we Jews, are commanded not to eat the gid hanasha, the sciatic nerve, the area around the hip socket of an animal. Even if it's a kosher animal, we still can't eat that section. Now, how does that prohibition speak to us? I hate to say it, but it almost sounds like one of those family stories. You have a family get-together, and a grandfather or an uncle gets up and says, "Did I ever tell you the story about how I wrestled with an angel?" And everybody in attendance says, "Oh no, he's not going to tell that story again, is he?" It's almost what it sounds like. So how does it speak to us? Here's how. During that fateful night, Esav's angel was trying to knock Yaakov to the ground, knock him off his feet, so that Yaakov and his descendants, the Jewish people, wouldn't be able to stand on our feet, wouldn't be able to survive, would disappear off the face of the earth. But Yaakov resisted. He refused to allow himself to be knocked to the ground. The angel was only able to lame him, but not fully maim him. And in the end, it was Yaakov who was the victor. He limped his way to the finish line. And so we tell Esav's descendants, his physical descendants, and his descendants in intent, his descendants in methodology, our enemies who would obliterate, who would annihilate us. We tell them, we just want to be left alone. But rest assured that if you attack us, if you try to destroy us, you will not win. We tell the Amalekites, we tell the Philistines, we tell the Persians and the Medes and the Greeks and the Romans and the Inquisitors and the Crusaders and the Nazis and the Arab terrorists, we will survive. You may lame us, you may wound us grievously, but in the end, we will limp our way to the finish line. And this prohibition reminds us, when we do fail, it's not because of our inferior numbers. It's because we failed to cultivate that spiritual protection that God wants to shower on us. And when we do win, it's not because we had numbers. It's not because of our multitudes. It's because God bore us aloft like an eagle, putting its young on its back and flying them to safety. That's what God does for us. And so that prohibition is a message for us. It's a message of hope. It's a message of light. It tells us, hang in there. Take the long view. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. In our darkest days, during our worst travails, God is reassuring us. We will make it. We may limp across, but we'll get to the end. And we will rebuild the temple. Am Yisroel Chai.